The whsky.buzz crew goes to Kentucky. My name is Mark Bylock, I'm the author of The Whisky Cabinet, and this is Jamie Johnson, co-host of The Whisky Topic, Glenford Jameson, lawyer and photographer, and of course, Matt Mark, who is responsible for all the video. On this episode, we explore the abandoned T.W. Samuels Distillery. We're just 1 mile south of Deatsville, Kentucky. This is T.W. Samuels Distillery, named after the founder. T.W. Samuels is the great-grandfather of Bill Samuels Sr., the founder of Maker's Mark Distillery. Bill actually worked these grounds in the 30s and 40s. As you can see by the flyover, the distillery lays dormant, and vegetation has started growing throughout the building. While distillation started here in 1844, a fire in 1909 took out the distillery and 6 warehouses, destroying a total of 9,000 barrels of whiskey. What you see here has been rebuilt just after. However, the distillery didn't really pick up distillation again until after Prohibition in 1933. At that time, the distillery was reorganized and refinanced. A man by the name of Robert L. Block took over as president of the company and helped finance the change. The Samuels family continued to run the distillery. During that time, the distillery made T.W. Samuels Bottled in Bond and a 90-proof version with the same label. While the whiskey sold well, by the 40s, Robert Block wanted to sell the company. Bill Samuels disagreed, and in fact, he tried to finance the purchase of the company. When that failed, though, he took a cash buyout that allowed him to start Maker's Mark Distillery. Bill Samuels was never really very happy with the whiskey made here. He said it was too bitter, and he suggested the marketing was becoming too old school and it didn't modernize with the changes at the time in the bourbon industry. That ended up being a very smart move. In the 1940s and 50s, the company started to use something called a continuous cooker during fermentation instead of old mash tubs. This made a lot more whiskey, but it also gave it a burnt flavor that the market didn't like. Sales dropped in 1950 and 1951, and then the distillery closed down in 1952. While the distillery is clearly abandoned, the warehouses you're seeing here are being used by a couple of distilleries in Kentucky to mature whiskey. Bill Samuels, of course, took the money that he made off the sale of this distillery and started Maker's Mark Distillery, where he focused on making a whiskey that's not bitter. His chief complaint with the whiskey made here. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm Mark Bylock. I'm the author of The Whisky Cabinet. I also have a podcast called The Whisky Topic with Jamie Johnson. It's available on iTunes. And of course, please check out whsky.buzz for the latest news and whiskey reviews.